Part 28. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 271. Chapter 271. The past is like smoke. When they arrived at the hospital, Bai Yi immediately gave first aid. At first, the nurse did not let Zhang Xiaoxiao see her because Zhang Xiaoxiao was not a family member of the patient and knew nothing about the patient. The children's welfare home has been notified and someone is taking over the administrative work. What they did was reasonable and even well-intentioned, but they couldn't deal with Zhang Xiaoxiao. She is very stubborn, and even the police will not touch her unless she sees the child. In the end, the tired nurses lost to her strong will and agreed to let her go into the small ward to visit Bai Yi. As soon as Zhang Xiaoxiao saw the child, he knew why he cared about her so much. Not only was she dying of illness, but also because she was obviously defensive. Many things about Bai Yi strongly reminded her of herself. She could not ignore Bai Yi, just as she could not ignore her own child. You can do your best to your stepson and stepdaughter Zhang Xiaoxiao, but there is nothing Zhang Xiaoxiao can't give to a homeless child. Jiang's small eyes glanced at the child lying silently on the hospital bed. Her eyelids were closed tightly and she was breathing hard. Her high cheekbones were flushed with fever. Her right hand was pinned to the side of the bed to facilitate an intravenous drip, and another bag beside the bed measured her urine output. Zhang Xiaoxiao walked towards the bed, her attention focused on the sick and helpless the snow-white sheets. She gently put her cool hand on her forehead and smoothed her hair. "You're going to be okay," she whispered. "I promise." Bai Yi struggled to open her heavy eyelids, and Zhang Xiaoxiao looked into a pair of bright black eyes. The outer edges of the eyes were sky blue, clean and pure. At a loss, Bai Yi first focused on Zhang Xiao's face, then she glanced at the doctors, nurses, and welfare home staff wearing work clothes. A trace of panic flashed in her eyes. She tried to sit up, but she was so weak that she couldn't even lift her hands. Zhang Xiaoxiao moved to the other side of Bai Yi. "Don't be afraid," she said quietly, "you are in the hospital now." Then, as if guessing the girl's deepest nightmare, she added, "I won't let anyone take you away." Those bright eyes looked at her face. Perhaps it was Jiang's small appearance that finally calmed her down. Like an alert wild animal, Bai Yi gradually relaxed and drifted into sleep. When Bai Yi's condition improved, Zhang Xiaoxiao also started to take action. She was determined not to let the girl who had not yet confided her experience to them be taken to the orphanage, not even for a day. She used her own influence through personal relationships. A patient she saved at that time helped her. Besides, there is no difference if the orphanage has one more child or one less child. Her persistence and tenacity finally paid off. When Bai Yi was approved to be discharged from the hospital, she followed Zhang Xiaoxiao home. Although she has not yet developed friendship or trust, Bai Yi is gradually getting used to Zhang Xiaoxiao and the children at home. She would answer their questions and her answers would be brief, but she would not actually talk to them. Zhang Xiaoxiao was not discouraged. From the beginning, she simply regarded her as her own child, and soon, she did so. The girl, who had always been lonely, was suddenly pulled into a large, relaxed family. For the first time in her life, she could sleep under a roof every night, have her own room, and have a belly full of food. She has clothes hanging in the closet and new shoes on her feet. She was still weak and unable to share the household chores that everyone was doing, but Zhang Xiaoxiao began to guide her in her studies. Since she was about the same age as her stepdaughter Zhang Xian, she supervised her studies and brought her to at the same level as Zhang Xian. Bai Yi's desire for books is like a hungry puppy seeing food. She puts books within easy reach. Those shrewd and cautious eyes were alert to the subtle changes in this family relationship, measuring the difference between what she saw and what she had known before. Finally she relaxed enough to disarm and tell Zhang Xiaoxiao that her name was Bai Yi. Bai Yi's relationship with every member of her family is quite complicated. She wanted to stay away from Zhang Xiaoxiao but couldn't. She treated her like a mother, just like she took care of other children, which frightened her but happily immersed in her loving care. Like a big sister and a teacher, Bai Yi gradually got used to it and made her realize that there was nothing to be afraid of. Zhang Xiaoxiao gave her respect, friendship, and finally love. At first, Bai Yi slowly learned how family members interacted and how the back-and-forth conversations made people blend together, and then she began to feel more at ease. Zhang Xian's teasing will still irritate her, but it will also make her laugh more easily than others. She has a strong learning ability, as if she was born this way. As for medical skills, she has the natural acumen and fatal patience and calmness of a doctor. This child learned all the medical skills from Zhang Xiaoxiao, passed the medical school himself, and became a top doctor. The child cried uncontrollably when she died. Cry like a real child. She cannot let her go on the same path as her previous life now. Her students should have a better future, at least not be mentally traumatized. Zhang Xiaoxiao sighed, and Song Moding looked at his wife. Zhang Xiaoxiao always sighs alone. He always has the illusion that Zhang Xiaoxiao is by his side, but separated by thousands of mountains and rivers. I really don't like this feeling, it makes me feel at a loss. He thought they had a heart-to-heart, that they loved and trusted each other, but Zhang Xiaoxiao clearly had something on his mind but didn't say it. Xiaoxiao, what's wrong? Tell me what happened. Maybe I can help you. Are you still worried about that child? Song Moding's only guess came from the child just now. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, it's not necessary now. I am indeed worried about that child. I always feel that I am very destined to that child. I hope she can live happily. But now I have to feed your belly first. Let's go, Brother Jin is probably impatient. There is no point in being anxious, Rome was not built in a day. Just because you are in a hurry doesn't mean you can do it well. Xiaoxiao, if there is really anything that needs to be done, you must tell me. Don't keep it in your heart alone. I am your husband and your man. I am someone you can rely on. It's better for two people to share the burden. A person is very angry. Song Moding didn't want to dwell on this topic, and Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't want to say that he wouldn't force her. He just wanted her to know that he was her backing. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded, I understand, Comrade Song, I will definitely tell you if I have anything to say, really. Even though you know that you can't say it, you are still moved by Song Moding's words. It feels warm and heartwarming that someone is willing to rely on you. Two people go back. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 272. Chapter 272, Jumping into the Yellow River and not being able to wash away. Zhang Xiaoxiao is busy in the kitchen. Wu Fei is helping to pick vegetables. Zhao Jinmi I wanted to strike, but Zhang Xiaoxiao drove her into the house. Let a pregnant woman work because she doesn't want to be called crazy. Wu Fei glanced at Zhang Xiaoxiao, and she didn't expect that Zhang Xiaoxiao, who looked weak and had no appearance of doing housework at all, could actually cook very quickly. It surprised her. She thought Zhang Xiaoxiao was just like her, at least he looked like the same person. She is fashionably dressed, extremely fragile, and she is too beautiful. Such a girl doesn't look like the leader of housework. The problem is that he is just different from her. Wu Fei felt sour in her heart. Song Moding doesn't know what he likes about Zhang Xiaoxiao. Being pretty is definitely a thing. Men may say nice things, but how many of them don't like beautiful women? She didn't have any thoughts about Song Moding, she just felt that Song Moding was too good to Zhang Xiaoxiao. In the past, Song Moding was very indifferent in their team. There were many young women pursuing him. He was not seen to be friendly to anyone, and he always had an attitude of being distant from everyone he met. Looking at Zhang Xiaoxiao now, I didn't see the distress. Just now I wished I could come in and help, and my eyes were glued to my wife. Very different from the frosty song moding, enough to make people drink a pot of vinegar. Wu Fei can't stand it. Who doesn't know that Lu Mei has liked song moding for many years and got along very well with song moding's parents. She is considered a prospective daughter-in-law in the eyes of song moding's parents. Now she is actually being cut off by a young educated youth. This makes people look both proud and sad. In the past, I felt that Lu Mei was better than me, which was out of envy and jealousy. Now I feel proud because Lu Mei ended up with me, but I also feel sad that they ended up together. With Zhang Xiaoxiao naturally being a little displeased, he was just as infuriating as Zhao Jinmei. How could they be so virtuous as to be loved by such a good man? Wu Fei couldn't understand this feeling. She just felt that she and Lu Mei were very sad. They were in love with a man. Their conditions could not be said to be the best among women, but they were still considered top figures. Now they were compared with this kind of woman and robbed their own love. This feeling is really hard to describe. Zhang Xiaoxiao, have you met Song Moding's parents? Your uncle and aunt agree to your marriage. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't believe it if he said he wasn't sincere. Doesn't it mean that Wu Fei and Song Moding live in the same compound, so she doesn't understand Song Moding's family situation? Only ghosts believe it. Aren't you just deliberately looking for trouble to make yourself unhappy? Such a pity. She, Zhang Xiaoxiao, really doesn't care. Song Moding's parents really have nothing to do with her. Don't say that the relationship is not good, just that the relationship is good, that is, getting along well. She doesn't care much about these things. In her previous life, she cared too much. She was suppressed by others, and her parents were also tortured by the Fang family. Now, sorry, we don't consider these. Not to mention that Song Moding had trouble getting along with his father and stepmother. Husband and wife are one. They are unanimously open to the outside world. I haven't seen it before. My Mo Ting said that as long as grandparents agree, other people's opinions don't matter. How is that the same? Song Moding said this, you can't take it so seriously. After all, they are Song Moding's parents and your parents-in-law. The family should be in harmony. You can't get the elders. Bless you, how will you get along with your parents-in-law in the future? The traces of Wu Fei's provocation are becoming more and more obvious. Zhang Xiaoxiao let out a chuckle. You really think you are a fool? I don't need to get along with my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Mo Ting said, Aunt is a stepmother. If you have a stepmother, you will have a stepfather. You don't need to worry about your parents-in-law. You just need to be filial to your grandparents. I don't need to think too much about other things. Not together anyway. Wu Fei rolled her eyes. This person really dared to say it, and said it blatantly. Although it is true, when you say this, you are not looking for trouble with yourself. That's not okay. Song Moding can think like this because he is his biological son. No matter what happens to his uncle, he can't blame him. But you are different. As a daughter-in-law, if you do the same thing, it won't make your uncle angry. Then it won't be you who suffers. You should advise Song Moding. After all parents in the world are good parents. His uncle also needed someone to take care of him at that time. An adult like Song Moding shouldn't be too selfish. As a daughter-in-law, you should persuade Song Moding to reconcile with his father. Your relationship with your parents-in-law will also be much easier in the future. You don't know that Uncle Song is the director of the second hospital. He said, it's not a problem for you to be transferred back to northern Beijing. Why suffer in this poor place? What's so good about being an educated youth? Who doesn't know that Song Moding's parents are his father and stepmother? The one who advises someone to die. Wu Fei just wanted to create a conflict between Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding. Why can Zhang Xiaoxiao live a happy life? Just a young educated youth, why should he have a better life than them? Wu Fei was unwilling to give in. I can be considered an intern doctor myself, but I just can't reconcile myself to it. Zhang Xiaoxiao chuckled. Wu Fei is unhappy, what does this mean? Laughing at yourself? Zhang Xiaoxiao, why are you laughing? Wu Fei, how do Song Moding's father and stepmother and I have anything to do with you? I think you are very positive. Is it hard for you to like Song Moding? Do you want me to tell Song Moding that you like him? It will save you the trouble. Are you tired of jumping up and down here? These words made Wu Fei blush, feeling angry and embarrassed. Zhang Xiaoxiao? What are you talking nonsense about? I am not interested in Song Moding. Who is interested in Song Moding? The person I like is Brother Jin. What does it have to do with Song Moding? Song Moding has that ice face. I don't want it for free. Because she was so angry, Wu Fei didn't suppress her voice at all. The sound of a wash basin falling to the ground was heard outside the door. Zhang Xiaoxiao was on the fence, it couldn't be such a coincidence. Sister-in-law Zhao Jinmi, I will not be happy to hear this. Jin Dachuan, tell me clearly, what is going on? What does this Wu Fei have to do with you? Zhao Jinmi, I spoke up and everything was revealed. Zhang Xiaoxiao glanced at Wu Fei, okay. Wu Fei's face turned red with embarrassment. It was one thing to have something on her mind, but it was not revealed in this way. Besides, if someone else's wife heard it, it was just wishful thinking. If someone knows about it, you will be regarded as a third party intervening. At this time, this kind of crime is enough to make people think about it. Do you want your job in the future? Wu Fei hurried out and saw Jin Dachuan supporting Zhao Jinmi to persuade. Daughter-in-law, don't listen to their nonsense. Xiao Wu and I have nothing to do with each other. We are just former comrades in arms. It's not like you don't know that I am devoted to you alone. It's really nothing. Jin Dachuan is so depressed that he is provoking someone. He did nothing. Wu Fei, this scourge, was clearly rejected by him at the beginning, so why would he come to harass him again now? When my wife heard this, she jumped into the Yellow River and couldn't wash herself away. This is not harmful. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 273. Chapter 273, Love Gives Rise to Hatred. It doesn't matter? It doesn't matter, she just said she likes you. Are you still comrades in arms and came here to see you? I said Wu Fei was acting weird towards me. I always felt that there was something wrong with her attitude toward me. It turned out that she was bullying me for everything. I don't know, I'm flirting with you. Let me just say that when you and she were talking furtively just now, it turned out to be your old lover? Jin Dachuan, you can do it? Now you even have Wawa intestines. I was wrong, your wife is pregnant. You're out there messing around. Jin Dachuan, you can do it, you really can. You even let me eat well and let this woman stay in my house. I, Zhao Jinmi, am a fool and can be deceived so easily. Zhao Jinmi was really angry and also flustered. Her man was very talented and had good conduct, which made him popular among the neighbors around them. At the beginning, I don't know how many matchmakers wanted to break the threshold of Jin Dachuan's family. Jin Dachuan just likes herself, but Zhao Jinmi also knows that compared with Jin Dachuan, she is not worthy of Jin Dachuan. She felt uneasy. I don't know why Jin Dachuan liked her and finally married himself. You must know that what she did for Jin Dachuan was what she wanted to do. Zhao Jinmi thought that if Jin Dachuan did not marry her, she would be willing to do so. But that was before marriage, and Jin Dachuan had the right to choose. Now that they are married and have a child of their own, the child will be born soon. When this happened, Zhao Jinmei felt that the sky was falling. Jin Dachuan hugged his wife, fearing that Zhao Jinmei would accidentally hurt himself and the child. Daughter-in-law. Wife-in-law. Listen to me, it's nothing. It's Wu Fei who likes me, but I refused. If I were interested in her, I would have gotten married in the army. Why wait until now? I married you just because I like you. Daughter-in-law. You have to be careful. Don't be angry, I really don't have anything else on my mind. I was just talking to Wu Fei in a sneaky way. That's not because I'm afraid that Wu Fei will say some nonsense and make you angry. I'm afraid that you'll be angry. It's really not me being sneaky, daughter-in-law, it's all my fault, but don't hurt yourself or the child in your belly. Wu Fei, tell me, do I, Jin Dachuan, have anything to do with you? Jin Dachuan was so angry that he was really in trouble. Why did it happen like this? The wife was so angry that she was shaking. Jin Dachuan was afraid that something would happen to Zhao Jinmei. Wu Fei was anxious and angry. What does Jin Dachuan mean? He treats himself as if he is a plague, and he wants to distance himself from himself. I just came to see him, but I couldn't let go of the thoughts in my heart. Just to see if Jin Dachuan regretted not marrying him. Jin Dachuan treated himself like this, as if he was worse than a rural woman. Wu Fei's heart skipped a beat. Sister-in-law, I am in love with Jin Dachuan, this time I am here to advise you and Jin Dachuan to divorce. You two have no common language, and you don't even have a junior high school education, but Jin Dachuan went to high school in the army. If it weren't for you, Jin Dachuan would have stayed in the military area to work. Why is it that he is like this now that he is here? I have heard it a long time ago. He has lost his job in the security department of the fertilizer factory. Is it because of you? Think about it for yourself. Are you worthy of Jin Dachuan's kindness to you? If you are doing it for Jin Dachuan, you should leave him. Let him go his own way, that's what's best for him. I love Jin Dachuan, and he also likes me. It is because of you that he has to repay his kindness to you, otherwise I should be the one marrying him now. Please, let him go. Wu Fei said loudly. Jin Dachuan almost didn't fall. This dead woman is adding fuel to the fire. Hurrying back to look at his wife. He shook his head vigorously. Daughter-in-law. She's talking nonsense, it's true. I have nothing to do with her at all. Turns his head and roars at Wu Fei. Wu Fei, are you sick? Who has anything to do with you? Whether I am good or not is not what you think. You should stop being so self-righteous. Does the matter between me and my wife have anything to do with you? Please explain to me, be clear, otherwise I want you to look good. Jin Dachuan was really anxious. Wu Fei sneered and looked at Zhao Jinmei. Zhao Jinmei was holding her stomach, her face was pale, and her eyes were excited. If she wasn't careful, something could easily happen. Just as he was about to continue talking nonsense, he was not having a good time anyway, and Zhao Jinmei had no hope of having a good time either. She is unmarried at such an old age, and her parents are dying of worry. But no one liked her, it was all because of Jin Dachuan, who made himself fall in love with Jin Dachuan wholeheartedly. No one can think about it now. Since Jin Dachuan cannot be obtained, let's destroy it. Jin Dachuan and Zhao Jinmei don't even want to live a good life. Iffies. 2 hard slaps. Wu Fei covered her face and was dumbfounded. I have never met such a woman in my life. The one who beat her was Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao really didn't want to do anything to ruin her gentle image of a lady, at least Dr. Zhang didn't do this before. But I really can't stand it. I know who Wu Fei is and his relationship with Jin Dachuan. But if I continue to follow what Wu Fei says, Something will really happen to Jin Dachuan and Zhao Jinmei. Zhao Jinmei is still pregnant with her child. You dare to hit me? Why do you hit me? What? You also have an affair with Jin Dachuan, so you can't see it? Are you jealous, envious? Wu Fei is really a broken person, which makes everyone have a hard time. Anyway, no matter how noisy I am in this place, others will not know my true identity. Wu Fei can still live a good life after leaving this place, but who knows what will happen to Jin Dachuan and Zhao Jinmei in the future. At least it's not certain whether Zhao Jinmei and Jin Dachuan can survive. Wu Fei, you can be considered a knowledgeable and educated person. I am really surprised that you can say such things from your mouth. People say that dogs cannot spit out ivory. With your mouth, I am afraid that even dogs can't spit out ivory. Even your mouth is not as good as yours. With your character and your kind of person, can Brother Jin like you unless he is blind? Song Moding has told me many times that he and Lao Jin are brothers who have been through life and death. Lao Jin is a responsible person. How many people pursued him and how many daughters of leading cotters wanted to marry Brother Jin? Brother Jin always refused with words. It is very clear that there is a daughter-in-law in his family who is waiting for his daughter-in-law to return. He cannot be sorry to anyone but his wife. You are rejected by Brother Jin. Love turns into hatred. I wish they would fight. Because if you get divorced like this, is it taking advantage of your wishes? When the time comes, you will be able to make a move. Let me tell you, with your character and such an ugly face, even if Brother Jin really divorces his sister-in-law, I tell you, it will have nothing to do with you, because Brother Jin looks down on you. Zhang Xiaoxiu's words suddenly cleared up the fog. Zhao Jinmei's heart skipped a beat. Perhaps this Wu Fei really thinks so. If she is deceived and really divorces Jin Dachuan, it will not be an advantage to this woman. She knew who her man was, and she was so angry that she suddenly became confused. Jin Dachuan was not that kind of person. If you really fall into that woman's trick, you will have no place to regret it. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 274. Chapter 274. Knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Wu Fei is gone. The four of us had a peaceful meal. Jin Dachuan still dares to drink with Song Moding. The two couples rested quietly after eating. Go back and talk quietly. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding returned to the house. As soon as he entered the house, Song Moding carried him on his shoulders and threw him on the bed. Zhang Xiaoxiao almost died. This is domestic violence. Staring, wanting to turn over. Fortunately, she had always thought that Comrade Song was a gentle man, but his true colors were revealed in just a few days. What is this for? Domestic violence is a crime. As a result, he was suppressed by force and was slapped the buttocks by Song Moding. Zhang Xiaoxiu's face was red and congested. I really can't see anyone. I have never been treated like this in my last life. Her father, Zhang Lishi, never beat her like this when he was a child. Still such a shameful way. Song Moding. On the one hand, it was indeed a burning pain. This man showed no mercy at all and was really deadly. Zhang Xiaoxiao was not a transformer, and his was also made of flesh, so it hurt. I didn't see any tears coming out. On the one hand, I feel ashamed and angry. As an adult, how can I not be angry when someone slaps me on my lap and spanks me like a child? That person also provided ideological education while fighting. Why did I hit you, do you know? Zhang Xiaoxiao was furious. Song Moding, don't go too far. Let me go. You are violating human rights. You, hit me. I didn't dare to amplify my voice for fear of being heard by Jin Dachuan and Zhao Jinmei. If someone else hears about it, he will be embarrassed. Song Moding pressed her down and whispered, Zhang Xiaoxiao, Do you realize your mistake? If you don't realize it, you will continue. I have to make your memory long. The hot breath brushed against her ears, which contained deep worry and helplessness. Zhang Xiao was cautious. Xiao Xiao, do you know that when I saw you facing that today, I was scared to death and my heart almost jumped out of my chest? You scared me to death. Hold her tightly with both hands, holding her in his arms. Leaning on her shoulder, Xiao Xiao, I will have a heart attack. I want to grow old with you forever. Even if I become a grandparent, I will still hold your hand. But do you know that today I really hate myself, why I didn't protect you, how could I believe your promise? I was really angry at that time. Zhang Xiao Xiao, do you know how many cells have died in my heart today? Zhang Xiao Xiao turned around, put his hands on his shoulders, looked at each other, and saw the worry in it. Song Moding was really frightened by her. Seriously promise, second brother, I promise to swear that I will never do such a dangerous thing in the future and protect my life. Don't be angry. I was wrong. I apologize. I'm sorry. Dear, I was wrong. Even though she was coaxing and deceiving, she could see that Song Moding was really frightened by her. Now he is as well behaved as a puppy wagging its tail to please. Song Moding knocked the person down in one fell swoop. Then how do you think I should punish you? Looking around his territory, there was definitely an unusual eagerness in it, and his jaw was as tight as a string. Zhang Xiaoxiao raised her head and a sigh escaped from her lips. Her body was warm and elastic, making his heart beat slowly and heavily. In the middle of the night, she fell asleep quietly. After a night of exhaustion, she fell into a deep sleep. Song Moding firmly reached out and hooked her waist, letting her lean back into his arms. She sighed in her sleep and relaxed into his arms. He could feel the pressure in her body slowly receding. Bang bang. A fierce knock on the door woke Zhang Xiaoxiao up. She sat up suddenly, rubbing her eyes, alert and confused. Who? Jin Dachuan's voice sounded. Jin Dachuan put on a piece of clothing and came out. Are they the homes of Jin Dachuan and Song Moding? Song Moding was stunned. Come here to find him. Song Moding hurriedly put on his clothes, and Zhang Xiaoxiao also hurriedly put on his clothes. The only place they left their address was at the hospital. Is something happening to Jiashu difficult? I am, wait a minute. Jin Dachuan opens the door. Song Moding and Zhang Xiaoxiao had already come out, and were shocked to see the police uniforms at the door. Police officer Comrade Gui, I am Jin Dachuan, what is this? I am Song Moding. Do you know Wu Fei? The police looked at the two people. Jin Dachuan and Song Moding looked at each other. Wu Fei? The two men nodded. Wu Fei was stabbed at the train station and is now in the hospital. She has your address here in her purse, and she is mumbling your two names. What is your relationship? The police were also surprised that there were two young men and Wu Fei was a foreigner. We are comrades in arms. Zhang Xiaoxiao breathed a sigh of relief. It would be better if it was Wu Fei, not Jiashu. I am still selfish. When I hear that a living person has been stabbed, I am not worried, but relieved. But I really can't care about Wu Fei. That self-righteous woman made a mess in their place. How can people like it? You contact her family members, and you should go to the hospital now. She needs surgery. She needs the signature of her family members or people she knows, and she needs someone to take care of her. It is better for the police to find someone, even if it is a comrade, than if they are not familiar with him. Jin Dachuan hesitated because his wife was still pregnant. Now he goes to see Wu Fei, whose daughter-in-law has just been coaxed, in case something happens. Is he still alive? Song Moding took the initiative and said, I'll go. Brother Jin, take care of your sister-in-law. And call the Wu family, I'll write to you. Wu Fei and he were from the same compound. Wu Fei's father is a knife in the affiliated hospital. The Wu family, like theirs, has been a doctor for several generations. Jin Dachuan gratefully agreed that his brother would help him solve the problem. Zhang Xiaoxiao pulled Song Moding, "I'll go with you. Wu Fei is a girl. Taking care of her will be inconvenient for you in many cases. It's more appropriate for me to go with you. The main reason is that she doesn't want her husband to take care of other women. How can Wu Fei and he let Song Moding take care of her? Zhang Xiaoxiao would rather do it by herself than feel uncomfortable." Song Moding raised his eyebrows and smiled. Was he worried that he would come into contact with other women? Two people went to the hospital with the police. Outside the operating room, the doctor wiped away the sweat. "The patient's condition is very critical now and requires immediate surgery. However, the surgical director of our hospital went to the province for a meeting. There is only one surgical resident. It is too late to send the patient to other hospitals. There is not much anesthesia, and the patient will be in considerable pain after the operation. Everyone understands the implication." Song Moding also frowned. Even if Wu Fei had some conflicts with them, it would not make people want her to die. The conditions here are indeed too bad. But now there is a way. "Doctor, do it, save a life, we believe in you." Zhang Xiaoxiao secretly thought, Wu Fei is really going to suffer. This is life. Two people were sitting outside the operating room. Wu Fei was not pushed out of the operating room until dawn. The operation was successful, but postoperative intensive care is critical. End of this chapter. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 275. Chapter 275 Nemesis. Wu Fei opened her eyes, the pain almost made her die. "I wish I hadn't woken up." But he saw someone sitting on the chair next to his bed. Ouch! Wu Fei couldn't hold it back. Zhang Xiaoxiao raised his head was shaking a little bit and he almost fell asleep. Song Moding went to buy breakfast. When he came back, he replaced Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao wanted to see Jiashu. Fortunately, Jiashu and Wu Fei are in the same hospital. Otherwise, you have to run around and spend a lot of time on the road. "You're awake." Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't speak loudly to Wu Fei. This girl is just a little pretentious. There is nothing wrong with loving someone, but her intentions are not right. It's not a heinous mistake either. She is not ready to speak harshly. Wu Fei was startled when she saw Zhang Xiaoxiao, and then overwhelming pain hit her. Why are you here? Where is Brother Jin?" She remembered that she told the doctor that it was Jin Dachuan and Song Moding. Why did Zhang Xiaoxiao come? She didn't want to see Zhang Xiaoxiao. She was slapped by a woman for the first time in her life. She held a grudge. Brother Jin is so confused that he really doesn't even want to see her? So heartless. The loss and pain in her heart made her burst into tears instantly. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't bear to see it. This Wu Fei was either a bad person, or, hey. No wonder people call those who are soft-hearted the Holy Mother, she seems to have such potential. My sister-in-law is very sick and is about to give birth. Brother Jin stayed to take care of her. Song Moding and I came to stay with you. I have called your family and it is said that your parents will be here soon. Even if you can't see me, but you need someone to take care of you right now, and you have to endure it no matter what. Actually, to be honest, I don't want to be here, and I won't come even if I can do it. Although she wouldn't speak harshly, she really couldn't be polite to this girl. Wu Fei wiped her tears and said, you should be very happy now to see me like this. I guess you will feel that my evil deeds are rewarded with evil consequences. She didn't want Zhang Xiaoxiao to see her fragile appearance, so she maintained her dignity with a fierce tone. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, you really think too much. Think about it, you and I are just meeting for the first time. The two of us have never spoken more than 100 words together. You don't care about me, I understand. I don't understand you either. The most bad relationship between the two of us was just that I slapped you twice. Seeing you being injured, if I were to gloat about your misfortune, I would think that I might not be a normal person. We don't have such a deep hatred. I wouldn't hate you so much that I would slap you in the face when I see you get hurt. This girl really thinks too much, and I don't hate her to this extent. Wu Fei was so angry that she wanted to get up, but every movement involved her own wound, and her face changed in pain. Zhang Xiaoxiao hurriedly called the doctor. She could take care of the girl, but the problem was that the girl wouldn't let her look at her wounds. I guess what she said was definitely the opposite. I'm afraid that when the time comes, I will think that I am taking advantage of the opportunity to add insult to injury. After the doctor checked, it's okay. The wound is not serious. As long as you don't move and pull the wound, there is nothing wrong. Also, after the operation, she needs to pass the air within 24 hours. If you can, just support her walking slowly along the corridor, and moving around more can help her expel gas earlier. Otherwise, people will not be able to drink water or eat, which will be very painful. The doctor definitely means well. Zhang Xiaoxiao sent the doctor away and watched Wu Fei holding onto the bed handle stubbornly, trying to sit up on her own. It's a pity that it hurts so much that I break into a cold sweat. She is really a stubborn girl. I don't know where such a strong temper comes from. Zhang Xiaoxiao went up to help her. Don't lose your temper with me. Get away from me now. If your wound breaks open, you will need another stitch. You have to think about it yourself. This is not the time for you to lose your temper. Damn it yourself. Can you walk in the corridor? I could feel the girl straining and trying to get rid of her, but she wasn't afraid of getting rid of her. At most, it would only make her lose face. But this girl is the one who suffers. Zhang Xiaoxiao has never seen such a good-looking person. Wu Fei's movements immediately slowed down, and her strength became much less intense. Okay, I'll help you up. Zhang Xiaoxiao used skillful efforts to help her up. Actually, because the wound hurt so much, I didn't have any pain sticks or anything like that after the surgery. After the anesthetic wears off, it's all up to the patient to bear the burden. Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that she was in severe pain, but there was no solution at the moment. He made such a move without seeing it, and his face turned blue from the pain, and he almost leaned on Zhang Xiaoxiao. I couldn't help but secretly curl my lips. This girl also has a stubborn temper. No wonder she loves Jin Dachuan to the end and doesn't give up even after she gets married. Look at her temper. She is a typical person who desperately wants to save face and suffers, even though she is in such pain, just to maintain her dignity in front of him. Biting his lips without saying a word. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't expose it either. He hung her on his shoulders and helped her walk slowly in the corridor. At first, Wu Fei was in so much pain, but she realized that Zhang Xiaoxiao was bearing almost half of her body weight, and she actually felt a little apologetic. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't owe her anything. Although he said he slapped her twice, in reality, the words he said at that time did deserve a slap. If she were put in that position, she would have to go up and slap this woman twice. That's not a personal thing to say, saying such irritating words to a pregnant woman. Aren't you afraid that something might happen to a pregnant woman? Is this still a human being? Normally speaking, Zhang Xiaoxiao is right. Look at the people taking care of her now. Although Zhang Xiao is tall, she has a slender figure. Her height is not inferior to Zhang Xiaoxiao. To put it bluntly, the two are about the same height, but she weighs much more than Zhang Xiaoxiao. At this moment, most of the weight of his body was on Zhang Xiaoxiao, and it could be seen that Zhang Xiaoxiao was sweating on his forehead. He helped her move little by little in the corridor without giving up at all, and was very careful with the strength. It didn't make her feel any more painful at all. This little Zhang is not evil-minded at all. But he has a poisonous mouth. Where is Song Moding? Wu Fei felt ashamed that Zhang Xiaoxiao was taking care of her in the hospital alone, but Song Moding was nowhere to be seen. She felt that Song Moding was too small-minded. Okay, put away your petty attitude. Song Moding and I stayed outside the operating room all night last night. We went out to buy breakfast in the morning. He will come back soon to replace me. My friend is still in the hospital. Yes, it's in this hospital. I'm going to see her later. As comrades in arms, if they didn't hear the news right away and didn't care about you, they were already benevolent. Song Moding and Jin Dachuan were both good enough. Don't take others' care for you for granted. No one owes you anything. As soon as Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at her expression, he knew what this girl was thinking. This girl must be of a high origin, otherwise she would not have developed such a character. Wu Fei blushed, and she stubbornly talked back after being exposed. Stop talking nonsense, I don't think so. It's best not to think that way. If you really think that way, you'd be called a white-eyed wolf. Zhang Xiaoxiao is also good at criticizing others. Wu Fei glared angrily, is this woman trying to kill herself? This is my own nemesis. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 276. Chapter 276 Bullying. Song Moding came back soon. Breakfast was simple soy milk and fried dough sticks. In this era, Zhang Xiaoxiao even wondered where Song Moding got these things. It is impossible to sell it on the street. Wrong. Have. State-owned restaurants are still open for business. But Wu Fei didn't get to eat. It is impossible for a patient who has just had surgery to eat such greasy food, and she has just finished passing gas. At most, let Wu Fei drink some water now. If she can eat soon, she will also be allowed to eat some millet porridge, rice porridge, and the like. Liquid food is best for her recovery. Smelling the aroma of the food, Wu Fei turned her head and lay quietly on the bed without saying a word. Song Moding wiped the soy milk stains from the corner of Zhang Xiaoxiao's mouth. Eat slowly, don't be anxious, I just gave Hieguo breakfast, and Jiashu has also woken up. Hieguo has helped her wash up. I bought some millet porridge for Jiashu. It's definitely too late for chicken soup now. Wait a moment, after you finish watching Jiashu, go directly back to Brother Jin's place and have a good sleep. Then simmer the chicken soup and deliver it to them. I told Aguo that something happened here. He has to take care of Jiashu during the day today. He was very happy. I could see it. Patriot likes Jiashu, right? However, Jiashu is recovering well. In fact, there are no injuries on her body. She is just malnourished and very hungry. You can ask the doctor later if she can be discharged from the hospital today, or is it better to be discharged directly. After all, it is better to be raised at home than in the hospital. Powerful. The main reason is that the two of them now have one more person to take care of them, and they are a little busy now. He doesn't want to tire his wife. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't sleep last night. He was tired for half the night. When he got here, he followed her outside the operating room and has been guarding her until now. When he came back just now, he saw his wife holding Wu Fei there and slowly walk. Song Moding felt very distressed. If there was nothing he could do, Song Moding wouldn't have made Zhang Xiaoxiao so tired. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded with a smile and handed half of the fried dough stick in his hand to Song Moding. I can't eat any more. You can eat this. I have to go see Jiashu quickly. By the way, Wu Fei has passed gas and should be able to drink some water. You can feed her some water and food later. Wait until I bring the chicken soup at noon to cook her some millet porridge or something. Then she can eat. There is no way these things are not suitable for patients to eat now. By the way, when did her parents say they would arrive? Song Moding took Zhang Xiaoxiao's hand and finished the fried dough sticks Zhang Xiaoxiao handed him in one bite. His wife would not dislike it? I understand, you don't have to worry, and rest for a while after you go back. Wu Fei's parents said that they would book flights immediately, but I guess it will be tomorrow or the day after tomorrow at the earliest. After all, this small county town does not have an airport, and they can only fly by plane. If we can get to the provincial capital and then transfer here, it will probably take at least 1 day on the road. Besides, if I remember correctly, their provincial capital does not have an airport. Wu Fei's parents were holding an academic exchange meeting at a hospital over there in Haishi. They didn't expect this to happen to their daughter, so they took a plane from there to Beijing North, and then transferred from Beijing North directly to here. So it takes at least 3 days on the road, which is considered fast. Wu Fei pricked up her ears and snorted coldly when she heard this. I will have to suffer 3 more days under Zhang Xiaoxiao's hands. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded, then I'll leave this place to you. I'll go see Jiashu first, and then go back. Song Moding squeezed her hand and nodded. Zhang Xiaoxiao went upstairs. Song Moding packed the lunch box here and came back after washing up. It was time for Wu Fei to give him an infusion. Apart from pouring water for Wu Fei twice, Song Moding basically had no communication with Wu Fei. After all, he and Wu Fei only had a friendship when they met each other, so they nodded and took care of each other. The two of them don't have much intersection. They only know Wu Fei because Wu Fei particularly likes Jin Dachuan. Although the two families live in the same compound, they can be regarded as sworn enemies for generations. It is said that my grandma and Wu Fei's grandma used to be good friends. For some unknown reason, the two families had a falling out, so they stopped communicating with each other in the end. Don't say that you don't interact with each other, or don't talk to each other when you meet. Moreover, although both families are in the medical system, they are really incompatible with each other. Since he was a child, he knew that people from the Wu family would not look good when meeting them. If it hadn't been for this incident, how could he have called the Wu family? If his grandmother knew about it and didn't come back, she would have broken his legs. Wu Fei looked at Song Moding's icy face. If you really see that I feel uncomfortable, just leave. I can do it alone. She didn't know what the situation was like between the two families. But the atmosphere was too awkward when Song Moding was with her, so it would be better for Zhang Xiaoxiao to be with her. At least she can fight with Zhang Xiaoxiao, right? The problem is that Song Moding doesn't say a word to her, so even if she wanted to, she wouldn't have the chance to fight. This man was obviously like a spring breeze to Zhang Xiaoxiao, and his gentle and tolerant attitude seemed to be more ice than ice to him, as if he was a piece of iron. Be expressionless and don't speak. The person she was facing was not a robot, and Song Moding had many inconveniences in taking care of her. For example, if you want to go to the toilet, you can't let Song Moding help you go. She really felt a little regretful at the moment. She should have known better that she shouldn't have quarreled with Zhang Xiaoxiao like that. At least leave Zhang Xiaoxiao alone, so you don't have to be embarrassed like this now. No matter what, the two of us are comrades in arms, and there is no way we would refuse to save our lives. Although our two families have grudges, the grudges have not yet escalated to the point where you have to live or die. Song Moding saw truth from facts. If he didn't stay here, he would face either Brother Jing coming or his wife coming. He couldn't bear the thought of his wife working so hard here. Since it's not life and death, but you show your face to me and see for yourself that you don't say a word, like an ice cube. Are you taking care of the sick or the dead? Wu Fei was very wronged, and Song Moding's attitude towards her was very different. Song Moding glared, you think I am willing to take care of you, if there is no one else? Do you think with our friendship, I will come here to take care of you? Don't be dissatisfied, I am not your family, I am not yours, taking care of you is already the utmost kindness. You have so many demands, wait until your parents come to ask for them. I am not your parents, so I can't pamper you. My own daughter-in-law runs for you, and I don't even have time to feel sorry for her. I don't have time to care about others. There is no limit to attacking people. Wu Fei's face turned green with anger and her stomach hurt even more. Everyone must be sincere. He usually doesn't have this attitude towards people, but Wu Fei really doesn't have much friendship with him. If he were an ordinary person, he probably wouldn't have this attitude. The problem is that Wu Fei and his family have enmity. Although no one knows what this enmity is, Song Moding and Wu Fei have nothing to do with each other. I'm not used to it. He really doesn't like Wu Fei. Wu Fei turned away angrily, pulling at her wound, and tears came out again. Song Moding and his wife came here specifically to bully her. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 277. Chapter 277 I didn't know what you owed me in my last life. Zhang Xiaoxiao rushed to Jiashu's ward. Jiashu had just finished eating and drank a bowl of millet porridge. Hieguo handed her a towel and asked her to wipe her hands. You are not in good health. The doctor told you to eat more. That's all for today. I'll give you something to eat at noon. I just told Song Moding to stew chicken for you when you get back. You can have it at noon. Chicken noodle soup. You really need to replenish your health. If you continue like this, you will end up with a lot of problems. Hieguo felt sorry for Jiashu. This girl was also unlucky. When she returned home, she encountered such a thing. Although the ins and outs of the matter are not very clear, you can still hear it from the vague words of those people. Jiashu was directly sold by her parents. In order to pay off her brother's gambling debt, she actually sold her own daughter. I have never seen such cruel parents. Moreover, he was afraid that his daughter would not want to go with them and would not even give her food. The girl was so hungry that she had no strength and could not escape even if she wanted to. What kind of parents do you have to be to do this kind of thing? Hieguo has always felt that his father is unreliable enough. But after all, my father was married to his stepmother, and she should deserve it if she favors her children and dislikes him. Jiashu's parents are biological, and her biological parents are not as good as her stepmother. In all these years, I have never said that starving him has made him this virtuous. At least he still pretends to be a good person. Although he is starving himself, he still gives him food to eat and he also takes into account the looks of others around him. Apart from being a cuckold to his father, he cannot be considered crazy. But Jiashu's parents must have gone crazy to pay their own daughter to a loan shark. She doesn't think about what will happen to her daughter at all. Jiashu's eyes turned red. Brother, I'm fine. I'm just hungry for a few meals. As long as I eat well, I can feed myself back in a few days. Don't worry, don't let Brother Song and the others spend money. Don't buy any chickens, all the money I had was taken away by my parents. I don't know how to repay other people's foreign debts when I go back. I don't know if I can pay back the work points I owe you at the end of the year. Jiashu is really a mess. Having a severe headache. Hieguo suppressed a smile and said, don't worry about the foreign debt. The work points you will earn this year will be enough to pay off the debt, and you will definitely be rich. You are now a little rich woman. You can eat as many chickens as you want. Don't think about other things. Yes, take care of yourself first. You have to learn to be kind to yourself. If you don't love yourself, how can others love you? Jiashu did not understand the meaning of the words. Zhang Xiaoxiao appeared, and Hieguo was very interested in Jiashu. The two men were obviously having an adulterous affair. Jiashu. It jumped out at once. Jiashu saw the joy on Zhang Xiaoxiao's face. Girl, you stayed in the hospital all night last night, Why don't you go back and rest quickly? Just go back and take a nap. If you stay like this for 2 days, you will be knocked down by the wind. Her eyes were full of distress, especially when she saw Zhang Xiaoxiao's 2 dark circles. She was even more worried. Zhang Xiaoxiao sat on the edge of the bed and looked at Jia Shu carefully. It's not that exaggerated as you said. It can be blown down by a single blow of wind. Don't worry. It won't be a problem for a young man like me to stay up for a few more nights. But you, look at your face, you have already lost. You have been drinking fluids for such a long time and can't relieve yourself even after eating. I guess you have a deficiency of qi and blood. This can't be made up at once. Don't worry, I bought chicken yesterday and will go back to stew chicken for you today. You need to make up for it? You're still talking about me, look at yourself. Jia Shu was truly unlucky this time. Zhang Xiaoxiao was afraid that Jia Shu would really fall into trouble. In her last life, Jia Shu was in such poor health that she spent all her energy thinking about herself. Unfortunately, she died at a young age. Zhang Xiaoxiao will not allow Jia Shu to do this in this life. Let her live well and live happily, which is her ultimate goal. You look just like my mother with your nagging. Jia Shudu, how does she look like her mother? My mother has never been so worried about her. These nagging are just for her younger brother. This time she was heartbroken because she really didn't expect her parents to do such a thing. They knew who those people were and actually used her to pay off their debts. In fact, she no longer wanted to live. What was the point of living? Her family betrayed her and sold her to others like a commodity. If you fall into the hands of those people, you probably have no other choice but to die. Living in such humiliation, Jia Shu would rather die by herself. If Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others hadn't arrived in time, as long as they could untie her and give her some strength, Jia Shu felt that she would never survive. Now she feels ashamed to even say the word mom from her own mouth. There are people in this world who are not worthy of being a mother at all. Are your parents biological? At this moment, Jia Shu really preferred that she was not their biological daughter. Maybe she was not so sad in her heart. She was probably the first in the world for her biological parents to treat their daughter like this. Zhang Xiaoxiao could see Jia Shu's sadness. Hold her hand tightly and said, "Don't worry about others. Parents are just fate for one life. To put it bluntly, there is no future life but this life. If we are destined to get along well and live in harmony for the rest of our lives, we are one family. But if there is no fate, you will be treated as a stranger. Live your life well and live your life wonderfully, then you will be worthy of your life in this world. You still have a friend like me, you have so many friends, Hieguo, Songmoding, Gudali, we are all your friends, don't let down the fact that we came all the way to save you." Zhang Xiaoxiao was worried that Jia Shu would not be able to overcome the difficulties in her heart. Jia Shu smiled and said, "Don't worry, little housekeeper. You came all the way to save me once. I can't forgive anyone, not you. It's really worth having you as a friend in this life. I don't know. You owed me something in your last life. From the moment I met you in this life, you have been worried about me running around. You are so good to me." Hands Zhang Xiao's hand tightly, the strength is so strong that it hurts. Jia Shu is truly grateful. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, I owed you a lot in my last life. I owed you a life, a wonderful life, and a love. So, in order for me to repay my debt, you have to live a good life well. I really want to see you live happily, not for anything else but for our friends. This is the truth. Jia Shu and Hieguo were both happy. Okay, I am your creditor. In order for you to repay my debt well, I will live a good life and it will take a long time for you to repay. Now you go back quickly." The creditor said, You have to take good care of yourself, otherwise, how can you pay off your debt? I'm still waiting for your chicken soup." Jiashu really felt sorry for Zhang Xiaoxiao, and staying up late was just a joke. Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded, I will definitely go back. Don't worry. I'll go find a doctor. I heard that you should be able to be discharged from the hospital. If you can be discharged, then go home to recover. Jiashu felt sad and wanted to go home to raise her. Where else does she have a home? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 278. Chapter 278. There is no post-operative patient consciousness at all. Upon hearing this, Hyeguo said, I'll go with you. I also asked the doctor yesterday, and the doctor said her condition is pretty good. It's mainly malnutrition. There's no point in being hospitalized here. She can eat and drink well at home and get up faster. Everyone will get moldy while lying in the hospital. If she goes out to bask in the sun, take a walk, and have everyone by her side, I believe Jiashu will recover faster. The only problem is that they don't have their own place to live in the city, and it's not convenient for Brother Jin's family. Of course he knew that there was a pregnant woman in Brother Jin's family. With so many of them living there, it would not be Sister Jin who would be in trouble. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Hyeguo went to the doctor's office. As soon as they explained the situation, the doctor immediately smiled and told them that they could really be discharged from the hospital. The injuries on Jiashu's body were only minor injuries, and she would recover as soon as she recovered. There is nothing wrong with you that requires hospitalization, you might as well go home and take care of yourself. The two of them were happy when they heard that. The doctor issued a discharge certificate and they went to pay the bill. Then he took Jiashu directly from the hospital. Zhang Xiaoxiao was very happy, it was better this time, he could sleep peacefully when he went back to bed. Jiashu asked Zhang Xiaoxiao uneasily, isn't it inconvenient for so many of us to go to Brother Jin's house? Don't worry, we'll go back to the farm after 2 days. When you come back to our place, you can raise her any way you want. By the way, you have to heal your injury quickly. The college entrance examination is about to take place. The policy has been announced. The college entrance examination will resume this year. The college entrance examination will be in December. If you don't take good care of your health now and study hard, it will be a big mistake if you are delayed by then. Once you are admitted to college, you will have a formal job in the future. You can leave the city and live your own life far away without having to think about it so much. Jiashu became anxious now. She didn't know about the college entrance examination. She always thought that the college entrance examination might be resumed next year or the year after. Who knew it would be so soon? I didn't expect to find out the news so quickly, and I secretly regretted it. If I had known about it earlier, I shouldn't have gone home to visit relatives this time. This time, the delay was not just a little bit of time. I was detained at home and didn't know anything. It's also thanks to Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others that they arrived in time, otherwise they would have been really ruined. Thinking of this, Jiashu felt really chilled. Then let's go quickly, it would be bad if we missed it. What Jiashu couldn't get over was that not only was she delayed, but she also delayed Zhang Xiaoxiao, Song Moding and other patriots. The three of us are at the farm well and are reviewing now. We have come all the way here just for her. We are so busy these days, how can we have time to review? Back to Jin Dachuan's home. Jin Dachuan is not here, and Zhao Jinmei is alone at home. Sister-in-law, I'm so sorry we are here to disturb you again. This is my friend Jiashu, an educated youth. Her family is also from the county town. Zhang Xiaoxiao greeted Zhao Jinmei. Now they are living in someone else's house. If they don't talk to their sister-in-law, they may feel unhappy. How can there be so many people living in other people's homes at once? No one's family has been rich in food in the past 2 years, so they have to live here to have food and shelter. Although they try their best to buy vegetables and meat themselves, It is always embarrassing to bother others. Zhao Jinmei smiled and led her into the house. Xiao Xiao, you are not going out with your sister-in-law. If you do this, you are not allowed to enter my sister-in-law's house next time. Just treat this place as your own home, don't be so polite. You, brother Jin, are all I said. You come all the way and there is no place to stay. If you don't come to our house, will you sleep on the street? Okay, okay, come in quickly, we will prepare 2 more rooms for you. Your elder brother said that this girl should be discharged from the hospital in the next 2 days, so I packed up the room. Look at this little white-faced guy, why is he so thin? My parents are too cruel. Hurry, Xiao Xiao, help her in quickly and let her lie down. By the way, the chicken you bought yesterday, I asked your brother Jin to kill it this morning and have already stewed it. Although I'm not very good at cooking, I've been simmering it for 2 hours. If you want to eat, you can eat it immediately. Zhao Jinmei is a refreshing person. He greeted them so warmly, but Hyeguo and Jiashu suddenly lost the strange feeling of isolation. They felt more comfortable at other people's homes than at their own. This sister-in-law is really a good person. Zhang Xiaoxiao asked Jiashu to rest while he went to see the chicken soup. When you open the lid of the pot, you will smell the aroma, and there is a thick layer of yellow chicken fat floating on top of the chicken soup. Sister-in-law, you are so awesome, but you are not good at this craft. My elder brother Jin is really blessed to marry you. You are good at cooking, hard-working and capable, and you will have a child soon. Sister-in-law, if elder brother Jin will marry you in the future, if you dare to bully you, just tell me and I will support you. Zhang Xiaoxiao likes this cheerful woman, who has no self-pity and is open-minded and generous. Okay, sister-in-law, remember what you said. When I need your support in the future, I will write to you immediately and send you a telegram. If you don't come, you will be sorry for the chicken soup that my sister-in-law made today. Zhao Jinmei also likes this Zhang Xiaoxiao. She likes it that a girl in the city can be so straightforward and generous in doing things. Sister-in-law, don't worry, the chicken soup you made today was worth every penny. If I call you sister-in-law, you will be my sister-in-law for life. If you have any difficulties in the future, just ask. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't have time to rest, so he poured out the chicken soup and cooked some noodles, poached the eggs and put some green vegetables in it, and served it to Jiashu. Jiashu drank a little millet porridge and had to eat some. As for other things, the millet porridge alone can't slow me down. Then, I made some tomato and egg soup from the chicken soup. There was still a person lying in the hospital, and I always had to deliver food. By the way, she made a lunch box of dumplings for her comrade Song. She couldn't give him chicken soup, but Zhang Xiaoxiao was not stingy. She bought pork, made celery dumplings, and lotus root dumplings, using the things in her space. The taste is absolutely delicious. I didn't see Zhao Jinmei eating a large plate of dumplings in one go, and she said that she was very satisfied. Too delicious. Zhang Xiaoxiao brought the food over and planned to go find Brother Cheng from yesterday. In order to avoid worries in the future, Brother Cheng must do something for Jiashu. When he arrived at the hospital, Song Moding's face turned dark. He saw that his wife had not slept. She had been busy for such a long time, and he could tell by looking at the food that it was his wife's cooking. Jin Dachuan doesn't know how to cook. If the rice cooked by Hyeguo can be so delicious, then it's not called Hyeguo. He felt very distressed, but there was nothing he could do. He also knew that he couldn't force the pregnant Zhao Jinmei to cook. Zhang Xiaoxiao poured out the mixed soup and handed it to Wu Fei. You are hungry, eat something quickly. Eat more, and your body will heal faster. Wu Fei said nothing. Song Moding urged Zhang Xiaoxiao. Go back to bed quickly. You don't need to bring dinner. I'll buy some outside. This hospital also has a canteen. I have money and food stamps. Just buy something to eat then. You have a good rest. We won't be short of that. If you don't eat one meal, you won't starve to death. Wu Fei snorted coldly. Who said that? Can the food in the hospital compare with the food sent by Zhang Xiaoxiao? She just saw that the rice eaten by others was lacking in soup and water, had no taste at all, looked lukewarm, and had no appetite at all. It's nothing like the fragrant chicken soup I'm serving now. It's delicious. And she also saw that Song Moding's lunchbox contained dumplings. The white and fat dumplings were much more delicious than the soup she had mixed with them. What a partiality! Who is the patient? Shouldn't the patient be given something nutritious to eat? Why do you just drink this mixed soup for yourself? Can dumplings be nutritious if mixed with soup? She also wants to eat dumplings. What she hurt was her stomach, not her stomach. The two of them would bully others and deliberately show off their affection in front of her. While Song Moding was sending Zhang Xiaoxiao out, he smuggled a few dumplings into his lunchbox, showing no sign of the consciousness of a patient who had just undergone surgery. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 279. Chapter 279, Need to Clean Up. Jia Sideo hummed a song, saying that he had been living a cool life recently. Ever since Jia's shoe was taken away, he didn't have to worry about being collected for debts. He had been pretty lucky recently, learning how to play porcelain with them, not to mention encountering a few taken advantage of. Have some pocket money in hand. He felt that his life was much more comfortable. There is no consciousness at all because the eldest sister was harmed by him. When we walked out of the alley, it was already getting late. He was wondering whether he should go to his friend's house to play cards or go back to drink. Never mind. Let's go play cards. His parents should be nagging him again when he goes back, and he doesn't know why they talk so much. Like Tang Monk, he keeps nagging in his ears all day long. The person in front. Jia Sideo paused. Acquaintance. Grandma's is Brother Cheng. The solace of his feet slipped, and he turned around and walked away. Hence, he became frightened when he saw Brother Cheng. Afraid of being beaten. As a result, two people behind him were holding sticks with thick arms. Looking at the stick going up and down, Jia Sideo trembled in his heart. He watched with his own eyes as the stick broke a man's legs. Being blocked by people in front and back. He is not stupid. It was obvious that this was directed at him. Brother Cheng. Brother Cheng, what are you doing? I didn't offend you. Our debt has been cleared long ago. My eldest sister was not taken away. What does it mean? Brother Cheng sneered. Is it clear? Who said that? Your eldest sister has been taken away, and I have been locked up in the station for so many days. How can you compensate us? He couldn't understand why the little girl came to the door. He doesn't want to pay attention to them, but they want to correct their evil ways. Jin Dachuan promised to be a good person. How could he still do such a thing? The main thing is that Jin Dachuan is a person who doesn't rub sand in his eyes. If they dare to mess around, people will die. Jin Dachuan really dared to throw them into the police station. But, that Zhang Xiaoxiao could actually take good care of his mother's blindness for many years. Brother Cheng is a bastard, but he is filial, and that is filial piety that is obvious to all. The neighbors all know Brother Cheng's filial piety. A blind old woman has been blind for 5 years. No matter how he is, no matter what he does outside, he will go back to take care of her. A person who is obedient in front of his mother is like an obedient kitten. His mother told him that he did not dare to go west. To put it bluntly, he was able to take this road because he was forced by life. Otherwise, How could the old lady let her son do such a thing? This was not kept secret. But this Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't know where he came from, but he was able to find his home. Seeing his blind old mother, she was being held affectionately and talking for a long time. Brother Cheng couldn't get a word in for a long time. He really wanted to drive this woman away as soon as possible. This woman from the province accidentally let her mother know what she did. No matter how arrogant he has been outside for so many years, he has kept it secret from his family. He just hopes that his mother can feel comfortable. Her mother hopes that he will take the right path. If he follows Jin Dachuan now, he will not take the right path in the future. He took them to the backyard and found out that Zhang Xiaoxiao actually wanted them to deal with Jia Sidao. Of course he knew that Zhang Xiaoxiao was seeking personal revenge. He didn't see that Zhang Xiaoxiao was very nervous about Jia Shu. These two girls are definitely best friends, but don't involve us in your revenge. We finally changed our ways. If Jin Dachuan knew about it, would he still be able to live a good life? It's surprising that he agreed. Brother Cheng shook his head repeatedly and refused to agree. But little girls are very weird, so he turned around and went back to the front yard, where he continued talking and knocking with his mother, and even looked at his mother's eyes. It is said that he took some kind of liquid and daubed it on his mother's eyes. At that time, he really wanted to rush up and beat the woman away. I'm afraid that this person will do evil to his mother. But his mother was standing there. If he dared to do this, she would chase him all over the yard with a rolling pin in her back hand. Just wipe it off. Anyway, my mother has been blind for 5 years. She doesn't care, no matter what happens, Zhang Xiaoxiao can't kill people in front of her. This Zhang Xiaoxiao dares to do this, as long as he dares to hurt his mother. He will definitely make this woman unable to eat and walk around. Brother Cheng stared at his mother nervously. Who knew that after applying it, his mother actually told Zhang Xiaoxiao that her eyes were cool and she seemed to be able to see a little light. This was a big surprise to him. His mother's eyes had been dark for 5 years and she couldn't see anything. Don't talk about a little light. If you can see a little light, it means that what Zhang Xiaoxiao just applied to his mother is effective. This effect is so effective, it's real or fake. Immediately he eagerly pulled Zhang Xiaoxiao to the backyard again, this time he was begging for help. All good things to say. Zhang Xiaoxiao's only condition is that they clean up Jia Sidao properly, and Jia Sidao never dares to come out and do his job properly again. Brother Cheng is speechless. Have you ever done something like this? You are clearly an educator. Could it be that Jia Sidao is his own son, and I am responsible for keeping him on the right track? If he has that ability, he will not do this business and become a teacher himself. No matter how much he rolled his eyes, he still agreed honestly. He couldn't afford to mess with the girl in front of him. She was thin and inconspicuous. Although she was pretty, she had absolutely no strength. Judging from the girl's appearance, he could knock her down with a wave of his arms, but unfortunately he would not dare to use coercion and inducement. The problem is that it's just like this, Brother Cheng doesn't dare to move. The man in front of him is holding a secret recipe passed down from his family. People said that as long as his mother uses it for a few days, her eyes will definitely be able to see. With this in mind, he would dare to kill Jia Sidao now. Isn't it just to let Jia Sidao correct his evil ways? This is not a simple matter. Although he is not a teacher and cannot educate people, he has known since he was a child that his mother said that filial sons will emerge from under the stick. If he is not a filial son, then it means that he is not beaten enough. If one meal is not enough, he will be beaten twice. If 2 meals are not enough, he will be beaten 3 times. He does not believe that Jia Sidao can be stronger than his own stick. That's why Brother Cheng led people to block Jia Sidao for the secret medicine handed down from his ancestors. Jia Sidao didn't know. When he heard this, he felt bad. His sister was going to be rescued, which meant that he couldn't pay his debt. What can we do next? Brother Chang comes to your door every day, so my small body cannot withstand the beatings of Brother Chang. If you eat one meal every day, you won't die. Jia Sideo was originally a weakling, but now he was so frightened that he wanted to kneel down and kowtow to beg for mercy. Brother Chang, I was wrong. My sister was rescued. This is none of my business. I handed her over to you properly. If you are looking for blame, I really have no excuse. There is no way, is there, brothers? Please tell him how this method came about. A solid punch and kick. Jia Sideo instantly turned into panda eyes. How could he survive such a beating? He immediately begged for mercy. Brother, stop fighting, really stop fighting. Otherwise, how can I compensate you? My eldest sister has been rescued now, otherwise I have a younger sister at home. Although she is only 15 years old, she looks pretty good. Otherwise, take that sister away. Brother Chang's face is darkened. You are addicted to selling your sister and sister. This is what people say. This is a beast. No wonder people let themselves take care of them. This is a lack of education. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 280. Chapter 280. They are all liars. Zhang Xiaoxiao took the time to go to the place where he bought groceries last time. She is still thinking about Bai Yi. Since she met him and she had the chance to lend her hand, she would not give up on Bai Yi. Walked around in a big circle and saw no one. Zhang Xiaoxiao was disappointed. But there is no place to ask. Wrong. That day, the vegetable saleswoman seemed to know everything about Bai Yi's family, so would she know where Bai Yi's family lived? Zhang Xiaoxiao went around to the vegetable stall. As expected, it was still the same salesperson, wearing an apron and sleeves, arranging dishes. By this time, the noon rush had passed. People go home to cook. Their vegetable stalls should also be closed. He looked helpless, and his attitude was perfunctory. As soon as Zhang Xiaoxiao appeared, the man looked unhappy. Are you sincerely making yourself unhappy if you still come to buy groceries at this hour? He rolled his eyes and said, it's sold out today. Please come early this afternoon. Comrade, I want to ask you something. Zhang Xiaoxiao has long thought that the person in front of him has a typical mentality of a small citizen who loves to take advantage. If he asks empty-handed, he will definitely be blocked. As expected, the man's eyes widened and he looked impatient. What's wrong with you? I'm a vegetable seller, not a policeman. If you have any trouble, please contact the police. I don't have that responsibility. The broken vegetables she had to pick up after being beaten were mainly people picking up the leftovers. There was nothing good about it. They will all be wilted. This is what is called a difficult kid. Zhang Xiaoxiao is not angry either. If he is angry with such a person, he would be really sorry for himself. Comrade, you've been tired for a long time. Let me ask you something. Where does Bai Yi, the little girl who picked up vegetable leaves that day, live? I want her address. If you have it, tell me. I have fresh apples here. Hicked up the net bag, there were indeed 3 big red apples inside. This was sold to Jiashu just now, so now I have to give this woman a discount. The salesperson saw it and realized that it was a good thing to get 3 apples for free by asking a question. You ask Bai Yi what you are doing at home? I tell you, if you want to do anything evil, I can't help you. As he said this, his eyes were fixed on the apple. This is a good way to play hard to get. Zhang Xiaoxiao has to admire him, he is not as good as others. The eldest sister is still experienced. Looking at this method, she still has to learn it. Comrade, it turns out you don't know how to go, forget it, don't waste my apples in vain, I'll ask others. Zhang Xiaoxiao walked away simply. The salesperson was anxious. Her apples. How can you let go of something you get for free this year? He hurriedly stopped Zhang Xiaoxiao and said, "Comrade, I know the location of Bai Yi's house. I just want to go home and take you there. I agreed to give you all 3 apples." Zhang Xiaoxiao nodded. It was just 3 apples, so nothing big would happen. I didn't spend much money. Small favors can get things done, if you are willing. The salesperson immediately moved quickly, pushed the vegetable stall inside, took off her apron sleeves, and left. "Comrade, come with me. Bai Yi's house is 2 streets across from mine. I saw you helping that girl that day. Who are you? The curiosity will never die." "Sister, I don't know her." This is the truth, they really don't know each other now. What a liar. The salesperson didn't say anything, just pretending that the person didn't want to tell him, and wouldn't tell him if he didn't want to tell him. He just wanted peaches. He took the person to the door and pointed to the yard. "That's Bai Yi's house, can you give me the apple?" Thinking about apples, Zhang Xiaoxiao was not stingy and handed it to others. "Go to Bai Yi's house and knock on the door." The salesperson left immediately carrying the apples. "Who?" When the door opened, it was a middle-aged woman. "Who are you looking for?" Looking Zhang Xiaoxiao up and down. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw the wreath in the yard. There are also black mourning belts on women's arms. "This is..." "I'm looking for Bai Yi." "Who are you?" "Someone is looking for you." Looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao doubtfully. "I am Feng Chun's distant sister, I am passing by to see the children." Feng Chunna is the name of Bai Yi's biological mother. If you can name it, it must be someone from outside. The middle-aged woman obviously immediately relaxed her vigilance. "I was supposed to invite you to come in and sit for a while, what a coincidence, my father-in-law and mother-in-law just passed away, and the funeral has just been completed, so it's not appropriate." Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and shook his head, "It doesn't matter. I'll put a stick of incense for the old man to express my feelings." The middle-aged woman should be Bai Yi's aunt. She keeps her words to the end, so she won't stop you if you want to come in. I thought that this girl was still too young and didn't understand taboos. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw Bai Yi. This child was only 2 days old, and she was so thin that she looked like she would fall over if the wind blew her. Seeing Zhang Xiaoxiao shake, he fell down. Zhang Xiaoxiao hurriedly picked him up. He checked his pulse carefully and said, "What's wrong?" "The child hasn't eaten since yesterday." He knelt in front of the funeral without eating or drinking. The old lady and the old man had a funeral today, and the child almost died from crying. Nothing can happen. The middle-aged woman sighed and wanted to take Bai Yi. Zhang Xiaoxiao turned around and carried the person into the house. The room was in chaos. Things were turned over in a mess. It seemed that the middle-aged woman was arranging things before Zhang Xiaoxiao arrived. The middle-aged woman blushed when she saw it, "That one is packing things. We want to take Yi to the countryside. We can't live here anymore." Yi refuses, "But there is nothing we can do. We are all farmers. We can't survive here." Her mother has not come out yet, and her father is nowhere to be seen, and there is nothing we can do. They are not willing to take this hot potato, but they have no choice. Zhang Xiaoxiao pinched the child, and Bai Yi opened her eyes. Seeing Zhang Xiaoxiao, he burst into tears. It looked like he had been greatly wronged. The middle-aged woman was left alone, her expression awkward. "This child has never seen us in Manchuria and is not close to us. I'm going to get her some food." You talk to her and you try to persuade her. There's nothing we can do. Sighed, they didn't want to take Bai Yi back, but now Bai Yi has no relatives, and they can't really ignore her as uncle and aunt. But the child was really not close to them, and they didn't say a few words for 2 days in total. They really have no choice. Zhang Xiaoxiao held the little child in her arms. The 5-year-old child cried and put her arms around her neck. Zhang Xiaoxiao could feel the child's sadness. Yes. Bai Yi said that she became what she was like in her last life because she couldn't bear the blow and was unwilling to follow her uncle and aunt to the countryside. He ran away secretly, but unexpectedly he ran into a trafficker. Touched Bai Yi's hair and patted her back gently. Don't cry. Don't cry. Your grandparents are watching you in the sky. They will feel bad when they see you crying. Do you want them to be sad? We Yi are good children, and we certainly can't bear to see our grandparents sad, right? Bai Yi sobbed and stopped crying, her watery eyes filled with expectation and hope. Sister, are you telling the truth? My grandparents are really watching me, then why don't they come back? Yi misses them, I want them to come back. She didn't understand what the adults meant by death, she just knew that her grandparents were gone. They always said something she couldn't understand, saying that her grandparents didn't care about her. Certainly not. Grandpa and grandma like her the most and will never leave her alone. They are all liars. End of this chapter.